My boyfriend makes remarks that make me uncomfortable with his friends. How should I go about talking to him? Me and my boyfriend were on FaceTime and had given each other our Instagram logins as a fun way of just looking at each other's feed and DMs. As it was getting late, he started to feel sleepy and was going to sleep. He told me I could still keep looking through if I wasn't sleepy yet. As I looked through his DMs, I realized that he had said the R slur to someone in June. In May, me and him and spoken about how I'm not comfortable with that word being used, but I wouldn't force him not to use it, but he said to me he understands and would never use it again. Seeing him use it a month later whilst texting his friend irked me, as he had lied, and also made me question the morals of the person who I was with and his friends. I had also seen DMs of him and his friend making fun of this overweight girl in a reel which also included the misogynistic YouTuber Sneako. He had sent this reel to his friend. Me and him had talked about how I don't like Sneako a few months prior, and he said he would never support or watch him again. The reel was sent after we spoke about this. He's also used gay pride as an insult to his friends, although it may be jokingly. I've told him about my stance on things like that. I know for a fact that he is not homophobic and that friends may just joke around, but it makes me question if I should be with someone who jokes around about things like that. He's also joked around about race and religion to his friends who also poke fun at him, with once the religion being my own religion. I just don't get it. I don't get why he has to retaliate with playful racism back or why he has those kinds of friends. I do not know whether it is normal for guys to have friends who joke about race and religion. To me it's borderline racist, but either party takes it as a joke. After I read a few of these kinds of messages, I felt a weird ick and hung up our FaceTime call. It's 2:31 a.m. right now and I don't know how to go about talking about this with him. Other than this, I've always thought of him as the perfect guy. Because we're in a LDR, he comes up to see me every month and treat me out to good food and just be there emotionally for me as well as financially. Before this I thought he was a good person and the one for me, and I still do think he's a good person, but I'm not sure if he's the one for me. I can't tell if he just emotionally syncs up with me when we talk and hence we share similar values then, because the way he talks with his friends says otherwise. How should I go about talking to him? Sometimes I feel like if we went to the same school and met there we would have been very different as people and would have never spoken. He's the type who didn't care about academics and cared more about girls, and I'm the type who cares more about academics. I'm just confused about the type of person he is. He's so kind and gentle as well as so supportive through my exams, and I know guys talk differently to their friends, but I don't know if this is a side of him that I like. I've never seen this side before. Comment. I have a hard time seeing you two working out. That banter he has with his friends, you can try to tune it, but you won't have much success. He's already proven to you that he will continue to act like that when you're not around. You two are simply different. I suppose it is easier to seem perfect if you are constantly making hollow promises to score points. Unfortunately that seems the reality. You discuss something, he reassures you he agrees and won't do something, you discover that is transparently not the case. He is presenting himself as having values he doesn't have or intend to pursue because he is aware it pleases you. Also, I am sure if they asked him if he intended to stop acting that way he'd assure them he won't in the same way he did with you. I mean, at the core it is incompatibility in general as well. You two just have different values. Heck, maybe he just doesn't really believe anything and he does what he can to fit in, but that is still deception and still a lack of real connection on those points. I don't know. He sounds young and immature. Without actually knowing the joke or how bad they were, I would just ask him why they joke like that. My girlfriends and I joke and text about totally stupid things that we don't actually take seriously or think. My friends are my safe space, I can do that with. I don't have to censor things. I can make crude or off-color jokes and know they realize I'm not serious or get offended, etc. I can just be. That's probably how his friends are to him. If you can't handle that with him, then yeah, probably a compatibility issue. Next story 2. I think my mom is making a mistake getting married to her high school sweetheart. Is it my place to say something, and how do I put it to her if so? My mom had a pretty long-term boyfriend, we'll call him Dan, in high school that went into the military, causing them to break up. She eventually married my dad, who passed away about 30 years ago. She had a few boyfriends while I was growing up, but nothing ever very serious. The two of us have always been really close. So much so, that it was a struggle for her when I got married and had a family of my own. We've had talks about boundaries, but it was hard because she really didn't have much of a social life outside of me and her siblings. Dan got divorced about 2 years ago from a really unhappy marriage and was still very close to another couple that my mom and dad hung out with in high school. Dan and my mom started seeing each other again, and spending a lot of time with this other couple again, which made her really happy. The woman in the other couple was her best friend growing up. I'll admit that I got a bit of a strange vibe from Dan right off the bat. I didn't dislike him, but he just came off as a bit matter of fact about everything. Sort of a know-it-all. But whatever, my mom seemed really happy and had her own life for the first time maybe in my entire life. He also seemed worship the ground she walked on. After about 9 months of redating, he proposed. He told me before he was going to do it, which kinda freaked me out. It felt really fast to me. So I sat my mom down and warned her in case she wasn't ready, so she would have whatever she was going to say planned out. She said she was happy and was going to say yes. I didn't love it personally, but again, she's an adult and if she's happy then I'm happy. She came over tonight and was venting to me. They went on a vacation with that other couple and apparently he had some sort of blow up on her and was upset that my mom wanted to spend more time with their friends than him, his words. He apparently got so worked up on the beach about it that people were staring and one woman intervened to ask if they were okay. She told me when that happened she was thinking, screw this, I'm not getting married to this guy, but by the time they got home they talked it out and were okay. This was a while ago and she didn't tell me because she said she didn't want me to hate him. She also went on to just say he's very sensitive and she feels like she walks on eggshells around him because if he suggests something she's not up for she's afraid she'll hurt his feelings if she says no. She told another story saying they usually text on their lunch break at work, but on one day she ate outside with some co-workers and he was upset that she wasn't texting him. My mom hates confrontation. She can't tell people no. I want her to be happy and I don't want to ruin this for her if it's what she wants, but I'm afraid she's not really sure about this marriage and just going to go into it because he wants her to and she doesn't want to rock the boat. He's a bit pushy and she's a bit of a doormat. I suggested just postponing it, it's in June, just to give them more time to get to know each other better, again, since they've been apart for so long. She said something like he would just get mad and leave her. I'll be honest, I think she likes Dan fine, but I think her rekindled friendship is what she would really miss. I didn't say too much at the time because I was processing and treading carefully, but I feel like I need to have some sort of frank conversation with her about this. What do I say? Or, should I say anything? Next story 3. How do I maintain a friendship with a guy I dated who is now sending mixed vibes on wanting to be friends? I'll explain my situation. So I went on a date with this guy, we'll call him Tom. We met at a festival in July and spent a whole weekend together before I mustered the courage to ask him out. We kissed and it was great. We were so excited we barely slept the same day. We talked online for the next 2 months as we both had busy lives and were both traveling frequently for work. We live across the country too. Throughout, we regularly mentioned how excited we were, very much mutual, and enjoyed our conversations on all sorts of topics including games, TV, lifestyle stuff, and more. Cut to 2 weeks ago. We finally have that date. It seems to be going really well, spent the whole day together, holding hands, talking lots, kisses, saying how we really like each other, and planning future days out. We were both very nervous but had a wonderful time. He left the date kissing me saying he was socially exhausted but was really glad I asked him out. Well, the following morning Tom said he didn't feel the same after all. I was devastated for a bit, but he said he was happy to still be friends. I mentioned how I was excited to at least be great friends and hanging out together as such, as events we worked out we were actually going to be at together. He said that sounded good to him. Here's where I'm getting mixed vibes. So initially after, everything seemed fine. We would be watching live streams, we follow similar online communities, and would interact fine, responding to me occasionally and having a good laugh. I made sure each step of the way to not go out. I do admit I started off messaging a few times the same day he said he wasn't interested but realized that was too much and stopped that frequency. A few days after, he was really upset a work event didn't go well and I messaged saying I hope he was alright and that I was here to listen. He said he appreciated that. We even hung out at an online event and talked a little after, it was nice. Yet the past week or so, he now seems to not respond or engage at all in DMs. I'm now just sending a hey how are you, every 2 to 3 days but there's nothing. In one popular, Very active community we're a part of. I've talked about shared interests with others, had a good laugh in group live chats, talking about how I was very ill, chronic illness sufferer, and feeling burnt out. Lots of people reach out, yet he doesn't react, message, anything, and actively messages and talks to the other people instead. I'm now extremely anxious because we're going to the same in-person exhibition event this weekend. He invited me and hasn't said I'm uninvited. And I'm starting to get the impression he doesn't care at all. And it sucks. I just want him as a good friend, like he said we would be, as we had so many of the same interests and can see us becoming great friends over time. So Reddit, what do I say? Do I leave it? Or have a talk before the event?